So we're going to bring Peter up here now. I've known him for 17,647 Manavanteras, or Grand Manavanteras. Sorry about that. And 2 days, 5 hours, 6 minutes, and 43 seconds. We go way back. And we had this magazine that we both participated in, Birthstone magazine, and it's approaching its 50th recognitional year of some kind of repetitional thing that doesn't happen. An anniversary, but it's gone now all these years. Peter is a great poet, and as you can see, Mr. Martin Joseph honored him with his own words to some extent. The lizard bag thing, remember that? It's a great piece, I love that. So rather than have me heap praise upon him, which is a noteworthy thing to do, and I would do that, I'd rather have him speak, and then we will praise him with all that. Peter, come on up. Peter, yeah! Great guy, love him.
A great shortstop, actually. Wow. Yeah, we'll get you set up there, buddy.
Wow. Heaped with praise indeed. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, I could say really more, but then they'd say, let Peter talk.
No, then I don't have to read as much.
No, we want you.
Well, it was in May last year.
In May.
Yeah. Oh, anyway, we had a Birthstone magazine reunion.
Yes.
And then I read a 20-minute poem about Gregory Corso, who I got to know. Recently, somebody asked me to write something about him, so this is what I wrote. The poet Gregory Corso once asked my name. 1977, the summer of Sam, the king of rock and roll is dead. We were to study Gilgamesh and watch the poet do his dancing bear routine at the Jack Kerouac School of Disembodied Poetics. 30-some years later, I listened to a recently digitally archived internet recording of that first day of class. This is my first day of class and I want to have fun. I'm going to check out the fuckers. Oh, that's cool. That'll take me about a half an hour. And you, what's your name? Peter. Peter what? Peter Marti. What? Peter what? Peter Marti. Marti. Peter Marti. All right, Peter Marti. We're all Gilgameshes. That's it for this week. That's the shot. And he attempted to bluff his way out early. The epic and the class theme was, how do you get out of it? I don't really care what you think. I have as much contempt for you as I do for the dead. That's what he said to somebody who said, but class is supposed to go another hour. But my friend Mark Fisher, 18 years old, and fearlessly brilliant, compared Gilgamesh to On the Road. And he delivered enough to earn the respect of the poet. Now, for years, including last year when I read this long poem, I had misquoted Gregory from that day. I thought he said, beware of people who laugh too much. They're hiding something. But what he really said was, beware of people on the sideline who laugh too much, because they don't know how it ends. The participation of laughter is not always a goodie. Vincent Zangrillo, my other friend from the class, Italian, handsome, shy at first, not archived on the class recording. He and I met going to different wild drunken parties the poets threw all the time, racing off into the Neil Cassidy Rocky Mountain Night to Golden and to Ward and the back of pickup trucks or the way back of station wagons, snorting coke with the mayor, soothing our hangovers the next morning with flagons of coffee by the apartment house pool, before starting it up all over again. Gilgamesh, the epic shot, friendship, immortality, sacrifice, dream themes we set out to crack the code on. Check back with me in about 30 years to let me know how we did. We read our poems at the county jail. A little reading improvised here or there. We read in classrooms, in bars, in auditoriums. We sat shamatha. Some of us shat shamatha. Awareness meditation in the light, large shrine room. We took a keto with the beautiful freckled Dutch Amazon goddess, but mostly we drank beer and wished we had pot to smoke. I tried unsuccessfully to cheat on my girlfriend back in San Francisco. I got to second base with a poet girl from Kansas who saved me from another night hanging out with the gay guys. But she left me blue as the Colorado sky. That's it. Not much of it in Smooth, what can I say? Well, we started to move last summer, and we still haven't quite got there. We're living in a quote-unquote temporary house, so I have none of my old stuff. So I went through and I actually found a box of really old stuff, and this is a dream from 1984. Ronald Reagan is taking tickets for a big deal dinner that costs $4. I hand him a 10, but he gives me back just $1. I complain loudly, but he stubbornly says, I give you your change, now move along. Look, the tickets are $4, so I should get another 5 back. You only gave me a 5, he lies, shaking his jowls. But I'm sure it was a 10 I gave you. And back and forth we go. The line fidgets behind me. Cheap president, I mutter, and move out without my change. The woman next in line nods. She saw me give him a 10. So this summer, of course, was the 50th anniversary of landing on the moon, yeah? So I wrote this 20 years ago on the 30th anniversary. It's called Son of Rocket Science. If you've ever gone to Washington, D.C., to the Air and Space Museum of the Smithsonian, climbed the white granite stairs reflecting the blistering July sun, and then entered that cool lobby where the first thing you realize is that you're standing right next to the original Mercury space program capsule, the Gemini, in which John Glenn orbited the Earth in 1964. You see how small those astronauts were. They were all 5 foot 8 inches or less, as evidenced by the tiny capsule itself. It's now encased in clear plexiglass and displayed so that the scorched, rounded bottom shows the terrible heat of re-entry, hotter than DC in July, and that tried to burn the thing up before it could land in the cold Pacific with the short man inside. To stand staring as open-mouthed as the beefy tourist from Germany, amazed at the simple switches and gauges on the pre-computerized instrument panel, it is to travel in time. Lying on the black plastic 60s modern couch, sick and home from 4th grade, watching TV gray tones and artists' rendering of where John Glenn was, hour by hour, is to imagine the promise that space held for a 10-year-old boy drinking lemonade on the family room sofa in the California spring light. I'm a son of rocket science. My father helped develop the solid propellant fuel that put men on the moon. We would quickly finish supper dishes and homework and gather on the front lawn to watch the night sky south of San Jose explode into flame when Dad's company tested fuel by igniting an upside-down rocket booster housed in concrete, then measuring the burn ratios and reliability functions. For the 60 or 90 long seconds it took, I imagined those flames meant travel, explosions, or that the stars themselves were burning in the indigo sky, like the end of a world or time. We kids thrilled at it, squealed over Dad's goofy whoops of pride, echoing long after the silent roar of engines 20 miles away died down and the cold stars poked us back to TV and bed. So to see 30 years later to the day, the spacesuit that Neil Armstrong wore that July night when, age 15, and allowed beer on a camping trip with my buddy Matt and his father and friends, to recall that piney campsite viscerally. Wolfman Jack's funky radio growl and howls interrupted by the transistor news that this very suit protected a small man taking a small step on the shining, pockmarked surface that would never be the same Phoebe of myth or love poem again. And yes, to see the moon dust still clinging to the white Kevlar and Teflon fabric, the efficient mesh gloves and sturdy boots, and the sheer wealth of the gold glass-faced helmet reflecting the sun like those famous photos we saw forever in Life magazine. That is to apprehend this actual spacesuit with blue NASA patches and the stars and stripes, to feel those small gloves on my hands, to be Buck Rogers or one of the Hardy Boys riding the incredible lunar lander, once more to be the boy on the plastic couch, the howling teenager in a Lake Tahoe campground, even the 46-year-old breathing the fresh, rain-cooled air, light years from ever knowing such pure promise again. And heroes die. John F. Kennedy's son died today, plane crash, 30 years to the day of that moonwalk, just as my father died. Crew cut black and white photos of him at work inspecting the test site near Morgan Hill with the mayor. Moving into management as the decade changed, and the bill for Vietnam came due. His company made more money from napalm than rocket fuel for the moon and beyond. And no more money flowed into the race for space. Those Russian rockets didn't have the same quality fuel and boosters, and the technology just wasn't there. Our arms program of lies was helping to bankrupt their economy of lies. But we won. Thanks. The winter fly. Woke up, cold bathwater. This meat, no fingerprints. The buzz, almost angry, insistence. Bores near. Reaching for the hot water, I see him, black as a noble truth, certain as death, circling the still air, bigger than those baby long-legged spiders scrambling in webs that won't hold him. Buzz and touch down, buzz and touch, tapping hard against the window, breathing in its own spring from the gone future outside. Born in this world, a strange winter fly, looking for escape, but lazy like the prone man below, barely moving. The whole being of him out of place without summer's maggoty perfumed heat. And now the poor thing of space, its life a circling wind-up toy, feels the silky air of demise past the window screen. 100-eyed glance beholding all this wonder, this pale late afternoon light captured in his nervous hand-wringing sewing thread arms, this jaundiced imminence. Like an old Indian head nickel, my Tibetan Lama's profile shines from the passenger seat where he rests, burnished by freeway lights as we crawl along rush hour traffic slowed by rain. He leans the seat back, takes off his shoes, and snores a little, sounding like the guru yoga mantra I whisper under my breath. Then he wakes with a story. A wild Tibetan boy, he says, smaller than his friends, once lit a strand of an older student's hair on fire, and then fought ferociously while the bigger boy, his hair now smoldering, grabbed at his ears, Their teacher, Dudjom Rinpoche, laughing at the show, forbade anyone to interfere. The boy bloodied the bigger boy's nose for good measure. I always fought to win, he said, gazing out into the distance. The windshield wipers beat their slow tattoo of futility. We fitfully inching along, all thought lost to the black freeway night. Okay, TV keeps the lid on. TV keeps the lid on gruesome murder, and serial killers in limousines always get caught. The victims are beautiful, the police are beautiful, the fake carnage beautiful for our entertainment. TV keeps the lid on my head from fizzing off like advertised sugar water, exploding like a jet mirage 4th of July air show trick. I keep the anger in. I don't blow up, I don't shout, I don't throw knives anymore, even for fun. TV keeps the house safe when I'm alone, keeps the distance safe from room to room, adjusts the volume, the tint, the blurry edges slapped down in front of the reporters and FBI profilers with perfectly manicured 3-day beards. TV keeps the lid on my ears from ringing, the hat on my head near the door instead of picking up the wind on a clear mountain road at night. But I need the lid on. I need TV like a tit, a tat, a hole in my logic, a punch to the gut instead of push-ups, or the multiracial woman it says I should be dating right now on eHarmony. Oh, TV keeps me sane, it keeps me hopeful, keeps the news happy when it should be, and properly concerned when it's snowing somewhere and doctors walk city streets with stethoscopes looking for future osteoporosis. I get new teeth, new drugs, new women, new cars with rims of psychic children spinning the news whichever way that works. I get TV across the spectrum, Hawaiian music, clenching jaws, pointed guns, plastic surgery, and outlaw bikers, nobler than the Prince of Danes. TV keeps the lid on my time, on my stomach, cock, marriage. We fight over hours spent watching, and joy. I can never be happy as long as TV exists. TV is suckhole. Yawning asphalt, sepia tone, lattice-fenced apple trees, but I'll never know such bliss as a dying cop's remorse, the acquitted stripper's migraine relief, or the death of mucus. Did you know that you could take a second antidepressant to help your first antidepressant work better so you can smile like sunshine in 30 seconds? Did you know a man could have 5 girlfriends surrounding him if he uses a mouth freshener that's 5 times as strong as before? TV isn't keeping a lid on anything. Every emotion is real, every storyline mysterious until the 6th act of a 1-hour drama, until the sitcom stars all fall down in a heap and the reality show becomes real. Oh, kind of like now. The clock winding down on the game, the race, the contest, and weather reports. TV is about dreams, about the bright lights and hopeful ambitions of plucky cell phone salesmen who bring coffee to fire dogs and talking toothbrushes. TV keeps a lid on tongue plaque diabetes. TV keeps a lid on airborne pay-per-view fights, pornography, and declining birth rates in first world countries. TV keeps a lid on my angst, my rage at gravestones of invisible strangers, and the songs I never sang. TV keeps a lid on the American flag, on test signals, lonely men with AK-47s mourning over their lost dreamland, their lost continent of imagined wealth, stolen by immigrants they've forgotten were once them. My great-uncle Fred.
Yeah, baby.
I don't recall him before stopping in Vegas en route to California when we moved here in 1960. My middle name is his. My father must have loved him to name me so, but 6 was kind of young to know what names meant. Grandpa's brother Frederick was a lifetime gambler. He had my family's wicked gene for booze and good times. Grandpa, though, was dry and tamed quiet by Grandma. Uncle Fred lost his chicken farm in divorce. He became a blackjack dealer at one of the new casinos blossoming in 60s Desert Oasis. When we vacationed that next summer, a family of 7 piled into the Etzel station wagon, off to the Rockies. I was eager for my grandparents' meager spoiling, fresh-baked pies, and exploring the River Rock cabin built over the summers of my father's youth, horseback rides, and the South St. Vrain rainbow trout. When the call came, "Come, your brother is dead," Grandpa, my dad and older brother, drove a day to Las Vegas to bury what was left after the fire. Smoking in bed, they said. It was a flea bag hotel on Skid Row. My dad choked back his angry tear. And I was a greedy 7-year-old then. "But what did you bring us?" A single pair of hard red dice, golden nugget stamped on them. And so today I sit high atop another cathedral of gambling, above Lake Tahoe, Nevada, owning nothing but the impossible blue lake below, snow, pine mountains, and the same itch for more. My breath dissolves this universe of sky, wild mind to be tamed by and by. Thank you. I just got 2 more. This one's, I've never understood suicide after Anthony Bourdain. Which really, when he committed suicide, it really, I'm a chef, so it really got me. And I just wrote this. I never understood suicide, but to take flight, that I feel. Soaring off a ledge, the drop of stomach, fear, a thrill. Ocean bluff, on top of a building. First noticed age 15, jittery from no-dose caffeine pills. I wanted to rocket myself into space from high school grandstands, just to feel flight, to be airborne. Borne aloft, sans wings, no thought except to soar. Just now, a lazy 5 a.m. fly buzzed this light, and I wonder if a bird ever tired of its gift, would it fall like a stone, as would I? Though many times since, I've felt the gut thrill of precipice, of outcrop, of unknown. I felt the launch in my calves, my thighs holding me back, the whirling sense of space beckoning past fear. But never understood the actual need to leave. So much more to do, and the gifted ones, the ones who do, actors, writers I've loved who suffered their fame like a child as candy stomachache, who said, "No thanks, it's not enough," who saw the end for the hope it would ease their own pain. Depression, the vast lying pit of self, no longer able to climb free from. The rope we would throw others is for us too. To help those left here, hearing voices we loved echo off our breathing tongues. Thank you. This is called October. We stopped this Thursday at my neighbor a few minutes before me, akimbo car doors, where the dirt road bends past the dry creek washout just above the big pond. Also stopped, under some scrub oaks, part of the local wild turkey flock, 10 hens and a young tom, heads bobbing, throat waddle neckties, pointing up towards a golden eagle. Its tawny 5-foot wingspan extended, changing branches in the old walnut tree, as the turkeys below bolted to a different formation, under a different tree, further from their beautiful menace. "I was going to throw a rock to scare it away, but," she said, nodding to a good-sized chunk of shale in her hand, Lots more turkeys than golden eagles, I said. Did you see how they all stick together? Now only a careless bird would be caught. Oh, I wouldn't have hit it. I just scared away. There's lots of turkeys. Well, I guess that makes us the X factor, helping one survive while the other goes hungry. Until then, we hadn't looked at each other, but then we did. And when we looked back, it was gone, exactly a month before Thanksgiving. Thank you very much. Thank you for